A wealthy individual employed a modest gardener to tend to his grand estate. One afternoon, the businessman returned home sooner than usual and was overcome with emotion as he reflected on the state of his family. Within the opulent confines of the Mendez mansion, an overwhelming silence enveloped the air. Carlos, the technology magnate, gazed out the window of his study, unaware of the increasing void that was settling in his home. In the overgrown garden, an elderly gardener tended to the soil, carefully planting seeds with a gentle touch. Neither could foresee the way their paths would cross, confronting the influence of wealth and reshaping the meaning of achievement. The growl of Carlos's Porsche engine faded away in the depths of the Mendez mansion's garage. It was 2 o'clock in the morning, and the thrill of the multi-million-dollar deal he had just secured was still coursing through his veins. With deliberate strides, he crossed the threshold into the shadowy abode, his thoughts lingering on calculations and forecasts. "Darn it!" he exclaimed as he stumbled over an object on the hall floor. He activated the light on his cell phone, revealing a school backpack that had been carelessly discarded. To whom did it belong? Marina or Beatriz? I found myself unable to recall. He made his way to the kitchen, craving a drink to toast the occasion. His eyes gradually acclimated to the shadows, observing the nuanced shifts in the furnishings. When did they decide to replace that dreadful painting in the living room? As he swung open the refrigerator door, a tiny yellow note drew his gaze. "Dad, today is Marina's birthday. Make sure you remember it." Once more, Carlos experienced the sensation of being struck in the gut. Marina, his eldest, was reaching the milestone of 16. How could he possibly let it slip from his mind? He picked up his phone. It was 2:17 a.m. In a technical sense, time was still on the table. With quivering hands, he fumbled for his daughter's number. 3 tones, 4 tones. "Hello." Marina's drowsy voice responded. "Happy birthday, princess," Carlos said, trying to infuse his weary voice with excitement. The stillness echoed from the other end of the call. "Marine? Seriously, Dad? At 2 in the morning?" Her daughter's voice dripped with disappointment and a hint of sarcasm. "Allow me to take a wild guess. Did you just return from the office?" Carlos experienced a sharp twinge of remorse. "I apologize, dear. The task grew increasingly intricate and, it's always about the craft, isn't it?" Marina interjected. "Please, just leave it be, Dad. I've grown accustomed to it." The final ringtone echoed in Carlos's ears with the force of a sharp slap. He lingered in the shadowy kitchen, the phone clutched tightly in his hand, sensing that something significant was eluding his grasp. He ascended the stairs, each footfall resonating in the stillness of the night. As he walked by Marina's room, he paused. He felt the urge to knock, to offer a sincere apology, yet his hand remained suspended just shy of the door. What was it that I intended to express? What justification could possibly account for years of absence and unfulfilled commitments? He made his way to his room. Sofia, his wife, lay in slumber, her back turned toward him. Carlos slipped into bed, leaving his clothes on without a second thought. The ceiling loomed above, a silent reminder of every missed opportunity, each piano recital he chose to forego, every family dinner he opted out of. As the first light of dawn broke, he sat there, eyes wide, grappling with an unsettling truth that weighed heavily in his chest. He felt like an outsider in the place that should have been his sanctuary. As the alarm clock chimed at 6 a.m., Carlos had already stepped into the shower. He donned his attire with a certain detachment, selecting yet another flawless suit from his extensive collection. As he descended the stairs, the enticing scent of freshly brewed coffee led him to the kitchen. Sofia stood in the kitchen, preparing breakfast, her brown hair gathered into a relaxed ponytail, ready for her morning yoga session. "Good morning," Carlos whispered, leaning in to press his lips against hers. Sofia averted her gaze, presenting her cheek rather than her lips. "You're late," she remarked, her gaze fixed elsewhere. Once more. Carlos let out a weary sigh as he filled his cup with steaming coffee. I understand, my apologies. Finalizing the agreement with the Japanese turned out to be more intricate and... Enough, Carlos, Sophia interjected, turning to meet his gaze at last. His typically warm brown eyes now glimmered with contained irritation. Today marks the celebration of your daughter's birthday. Did you happen to recall it? Carlos's silence spoke volumes. Sophia shook her head, a mix of disappointment and resignation washing over her. I bought him a car, Carlos declared, as though that would solve all problems. A BMW 3 Series, his absolute favorite. Sophia gazed at him, disbelief etched on her face. Is that what he desires? A lavish present to make up for your lack of presence. Just as Carlos was about to reply, Marina stepped into the kitchen. He froze at the sight of his father, astonishment swiftly giving way to a facade of apathy. Good morning, he remarked, making his way directly to the refrigerator. Happy birthday, my dear, Sophia said, embracing her daughter tightly. Marina seemed to melt into her mother's embrace, a wave of tranquility washing over her. Carlos took a moment to clear his throat. Marina, save it, Dad, Marina interjected, echoing her mother's words from just moments ago. I must leave now. I don't want to be late for school. Hold on, Carlos said, pulling a small box from his pocket. This is for you. Marina eyed the box with suspicion, as though she might take a bite out of it. He gradually unveiled it, exposing a car key adorned with the BMW emblem. Incredible, a car, said his flat voice. Exactly what I needed to fill the emptiness of having a father who wasn't there. Marina, Sophia exclaimed, taken aback by her daughter's toughness. Yet, Marina was already exiting the kitchen, leaving the box with the key on the table. Thank you, Dad. I will place it beside the other tokens meant to win my favor. The door slammed shut, reverberating through the house and plunging Carlos and Sophia into an uncomfortable quiet. I should leave, Carlos murmured, clutching his briefcase. Sophia gazed at him, her eyes reflecting a blend of sorrow and acceptance. You know what, Carlos? Perhaps you should remain. For once, confront the chaos you've brought upon us. But Carlos was already at the door, escaping to the refuge of his office, where figures and agreements offered no judgment, where he could convince himself that achievement was quantified in digits rather than in embraces and unspoken declarations of affection. As his Porsche exited the garage, he overlooked the old gardener who had just arrived, observing him with a gaze that blended empathy and resolve. Antonio Silva, with his calloused hands and quiet insight, was poised to sow the seeds of transformation in the parched land of the Mendez family. The mid-morning sun beat down mercilessly on the forsaken garden of the Mendez estate. Antonio, donning his straw hat and tattered work shirt, surveyed the landscape with a discerning gaze. Weeds, untrimmed bushes, and a yellowing lawn narrated a tale of years gone by without care. Well, old friend, he whispered to himself, it appears we have quite the task ahead. As Antonio started to unravel the watering hose, the back door of the house swung open with a sudden force. Beatriz, the youngest daughter of the Mendezes, burst out, her cheeks flushed and tears glistening in her eyes. She halted abruptly upon noticing the old man. Who are you? He inquired through tears and skepticism. Antonio responded with a gentle smile. I'm Antonio, the new gardener, and you must be Miss Beatriz. Beatriz regarded him with intrigue, her sorrow momentarily set aside. How do you know my name? Your father mentioned you and your sister when he brought me on board, Antonio replied, leaving out the detail that the conversation had been more of a hurried set of directives as Carlos dashed to his car. Beatriz scoffed in skepticism. My father? I seriously doubt he even knows my age. Antonio nodded with empathy. Sometimes grown-ups err, but please share, what is troubling you on this lovely day? Beatriz paused briefly, yet the warmth in Antonio's gaze beckoned her to place her trust in him. "It's my sister Marina's birthday. I wanted to create a surprise cake for her, but I've messed it all up. The kitchen looks like a war zone, and Mom is going to be furious with me." Antonio set the hose aside and walked over to the girl. "Well, Miss Beatriz, how about we strike a bargain? I'll lend a hand with that cake, and in return, you can assist me in giving some much-needed water to these poor plants." "What do you mean?" Beatriz's eyes sparkled with excitement. "Is he truly skilled at baking cakes?" "I have gathered a wealth of knowledge over the years, dear child. Crafting cakes is merely one of my many skills." In the Mendez Technologies office, Carlos found himself deeply engaged in a video conference with Japanese investors. Charts, projections, and technical jargon swirled around him. He thrived in this environment, adeptly maneuvering through the intricate landscape of international negotiations. "Mr. Sato," Carlos said with a confident smile, "I understand your concerns, but let me show you how our AI technology will not only improve the efficiency of your factories, but will also reduce operating costs by 30% in the first year." The presentation continued, Carlos unfolding. Yet, in a corner of his mind, Marina's words and Sophia's disappointed look lingered like an unwelcome echo. Just as he was on the verge of finalizing the deal, his phone buzzed. A message from Sophia had arrived. The principal of the school had called. "Marina has been absent from classes. He isn't responding to his cell phone. Is there anything you can do about it, or are you too preoccupied to take on the role of a father?" Carlos felt as though a bucket of cold water had been thrown over him. "Gentlemen," he said, looking at the screen, "might we take a brief pause? I have an urgent family matter to address." Without waiting for an answer, Carlos dashed out of the conference room. In the hallway, he anxiously punched in Marina's number. The line was busy. He attempted once more. Silence. "Damn it!" he muttered, striking the wall in exasperation. His assistant, Anna, stepped forward carefully. "Mr. Mendez? Is everything okay?" Carlos gazed at her, briefly taken aback. "My daughter. He fled from school. I can't find it." Anna, ever the resourceful one, was already engrossed in her tablet. "I can reach out to security, trace your phone if you'd like." Carlos nodded, appreciative of Anna's proactive approach. As they awaited the results, he found himself reflecting on the journey that had led him to this moment. When did he start to feel like a stranger to his own daughter? In the grand mansion, Antonio and Beatriz found themselves in the kitchen, enveloped by a cloud of flour, eggs scattered about, and the delightful scent of melted chocolate wafting through the air. "Keep in mind," Antonio remarked as Beatriz blended the dough, "that in baking, much like in life, patience is essential. You can't hurry the best outcomes." Beatriz nodded, her attention unwavering as she immersed herself in her work. "Antonio, do you believe Marina will appreciate it?" The elderly gentleman beamed with a warm smile. "You accomplished it with affection, dear one. That's what truly counts." Just then, the kitchen door swung open. Marina stepped inside, her makeup askew and carrying a subtle scent of alcohol. "What is this?" he inquired, gazing at the scene with bewilderment. "And who might that be?" With a burst of enthusiasm, Beatriz dashed toward her sister. "Marina, wishing you a joyful birthday celebration. A cake is being crafted just for you." Marina cast a glance at her sister before shifting her gaze to Antonio, her face revealing a blend of astonishment and skepticism. "A cake? With someone unknown?" Antonio cleaned his hands on his improvised apron and approached. "Antonio Silva, ma'am. The fresh horticulturist. His sister is a remarkable support." Marina released a sardonic chuckle. "Excellent. Dad isn't around, but he employs a gardener." "Ordinary." Beatriz, feeling the weight of the atmosphere, sought to shift the conversation. "Marina, where have you been? Mother felt a sense of concern. I spent some time with my friends, Marina replied, somewhat elusive. It's really nothing to worry about. Antonio observed the interaction quietly, perceiving the anguish concealed beneath Marina's defiant demeanor. Just as he was poised to speak, the house phone interrupted with its ringing. Beatrice hurried to respond. Hi there. Oh, hey, Dad. Yes, Marina just got here. Okay. Do you wish to speak with her? Marina shook her head vigorously. Beatrice, caught between her sister and father, paused in uncertainty. He's currently in the bathroom, Dad. Yes, I'll make sure he calls you back. Alright, goodbye. Once he ended the call, Marina erupted. I have no desire to engage in conversation with him. Is it really that hard to grasp? Yet, Marina felt a sense of unease. No, he was concerned about the impact this would have on his valued reputation. It never changes. Antonio, recognizing the moment called for action, addressed the situation with a steady yet assertive tone. Miss Marina, there are times when a garden appears to be forgotten, not due to a lack of desire, but rather from a lack of understanding on how to nurture it effectively. Marina gazed at him, taken aback by the comparison. What does that mean? It signifies, Antonio went on, that perhaps, rather than shutting the doors, you ought to demonstrate to your father how to enter. A thoughtful hush enveloped the kitchen. Marina cast her gaze upon the undercooked cake, then shifted her attention to her sister, and ultimately to Antonio. I require solitude, she whispered, exiting the kitchen. Beatrice attempted to pursue her, but Antonio softly restrained her. Be patient, dear one. Seeds require room to sprout. With a loud bang, the door to Marina's room closed, prompting Antonio to focus on the cake. He understood that he had sown a seed within the young girl's heart. At this point, it was simply a matter of waiting and tending with care. Carlos sat in his office, gazing out the window, the phone lingering in his grasp. The conversation with the Japanese investors faded from memory, leaving his thoughts swirling with unresolved inquiries. How had she drifted apart from her daughters? Could it be too late to reclaim it? Unbeknownst to them, Carlos and his family stood at the brink of a significant transformation. The spark for that transformation lay within his garden, where calloused hands held a wisdom that transcended the mere art of pruning a rose bush. Dawn crept softly through the curtains of Carlos's study, a space where he had immersed himself in reviewing contracts and responding to emails throughout the night. His wrinkled shirt and stubble told the story of yet another sleepless night. The remnants of the disagreement with Sofia from the previous night lingered in his thoughts. I no longer recognize you, Carlos, she had yelled at him. When did we last share a meal together? So, you dedicated an entire weekend to the girls? Carlos brushed his weary hand across his face, reflecting on his disappointing reaction. Sofia, everything I do is for you, to provide you with the life you truly deserve. No, Carlos, she replied, her voice heavy with sorrow. This is about you and your self-importance, and in doing so, you are pushing us away. A sudden knock on the door broke the silence of his contemplation. There she was, Beatrice, cradling a steaming cup of coffee. Good morning, Dad, he said softly. This is for you. Antonio showed me the method to make it just the way you enjoy it. Carlos blinked, taken aback. Thank you, my dear. Antonio. Who is the gardener? Beatrice nodded, a subtle smile gracing her lips. Absolutely, it's wonderful. It's enlightening me on the intricacies of plants and, indeed, the essence of existence. Carlos savored a sip of coffee, truly captivated by its flavor. Incredible, it's absolutely delightful. I need you to demonstrate your process to me. In that fleeting instant, father and daughter exchanged a glance filled with understanding, a flicker of the bond they once cherished. However, the tranquility was shattered by the sudden ringing of Carlos's cell phone. I apologize, dear. I must handle this, he declared, swiftly shifting back into his professional demeanor. Beatrice nodded, her smile slowly disappearing. Absolutely, Dad. I comprehend. Upon exiting the studio, she received a call from Carlos. Beatrice, I appreciate the coffee. Perhaps, you might consider teaching me this weekend. Beatrice's face lit up with a smile once more. Oh, is that so? Certainly, Father. In the garden, Antonio toiled under the morning sun, his skilled hands carefully shaping an ancient rose bush. Marina observed him from the terrace. His gaze held a blend of intrigue and doubt. Is it really too hot to be working like this? He inquired, finally shattering the stillness. Antonio lifted his gaze, a smile spreading across his face. Ah, Miss Marina, the warmth is trivial when you immerse yourself in your passion. Additionally, these roses require it. Marina drew near, her gaze fixed on the flowers with a hint of contempt. All of them have withered away. Why not simply uproot them and introduce new ones? Because, my dear child, Antonio replied with gentle patience, even what appears lifeless can flourish once more with the right attention. Observe. With careful precision, Antonio severed a parched branch, uncovering a vibrant green shoot hidden beneath. Life has a remarkable ability to persevere, provided we allow it the opportunity. Marina observed the tiny sprout, an unusual feeling awakening within her heart. I suppose that adds up. Are you interested in giving it a go? Antonio proposed, extending the pruning shears. After a brief pause, Marina accepted them. With Antonio's steady support, he started to prune the rose bush, finding an unforeseen joy in the endeavor. In the kitchen, Sophia busied herself with breakfast, her thoughts drifting amidst a sea of concerns. The cheerful sound of laughter drifting from the garden pulled her away from her reverie. She gazed out the window, taken aback by the sight of Marina tending to the garden alongside Antonio, a true smile lighting up her features. Carlos stepped into the kitchen, phone pressed to his ear. Absolutely, I grasped the importance of the situation. I will arrive in 1 hour. Sophia gazed at him, her eyes reflecting a deep sense of disappointment. Is there yet another crisis unfolding in the office? Carlos, sensing the mood, let out a weary sigh. I apologize, but this holds significant importance. I assure you I will return home in time for dinner. Certainly, Sophia replied, her tone laced with doubt. Just like every other promise made. Just as Carlos was about to reply, Beatrice burst in. Hey, Mom, Dad, could you come to the garden, please? Marina and Antonio have something they wish to share with us. Startled, Carlos and Sophia trailed behind their youngest daughter into the garden. There, Marina stood beside a freshly pruned rose bush, her face radiating with pride. Observe, he remarked, gesturing towards the fresh blooms that were starting to unfurl. Antonio showed me the way to nurture them. I believed they were gone, yet they merely required some care. Carlos gazed at his eldest daughter, then shifted his attention to the rose bush, a peculiar feeling tightening within his chest. It is stunning, Marina. I had no idea you had an interest in gardening. Marina shrugged, yet a gentle warmth flickered in her eyes, a softness Carlos hadn't encountered in years. I was unaware of that as well. It's quite soothing, I suppose. With a knowing smile, Antonio stepped in to intervene in the unfolding scene. At times, Mr. Mendez, the most significant aspects unfold right before us, yet we remain preoccupied with distant pursuits, failing to recognize their presence. Carlos absorbed the gravity of those words, gazing at his family as though he were witnessing them anew after a lengthy absence. Sophia, embodying a tranquil elegance and quiet resilience. Marina, emerging as a young woman with her own fervent interests. Beatrice, longing for connection and recognition. The moment was shattered by the relentless ringing of Carlos' cell phone. All eyes were on him, anticipating his response. Carlos glanced at the phone, then at his family, and for the first time in years, he chose a different path. He powered down the cell phone. "Do you realize something?" he remarked, a grin spreading across his features. "I believe I'll indulge in a day of rest today. What do you think about enjoying breakfast together in the garden?" Their faces lit up with instant surprise and joy. Beatriz leaped with joy. Marina attempted to suppress a smile, while Sophia's eyes brimmed with unfallen tears. As the Mendez family made their way home to whip up breakfast, Antonio observed them with a sense of contentment. He focused on the garden, aware that he had sown seeds of significance far beyond mere flowers that day. Breakfast in the garden was a cherished moment of connection that the Mendez family had longed for over the years. Amidst the laughter and flowing conversations, Carlos came to understand just how much he had longed for these moments. The stories from Beatriz's school, Marina's aspirations to pursue art, which she had never considered before, and the new recipes that Sofia was eager to experiment with. As the morning unfolded, Carlos felt his anxiety intensifying. His thoughts repeatedly drifted back to the office, to the lingering emails that awaited responses, to the calls that had gone unanswered. Sofia, sensing his worry, gently rested her hand on his. "It's all right, Carlos. Determine if it's necessary for you to proceed." Carlos gazed at her, taken aback by her insight. Thank you very much. I assure you that I will return shortly." As he made his way to his study, he walked by Antonio, who was tending to some nearby plants. "Mr. Mendez," the gardener called, "remember, roots need time to grow strong. Patience is essential, some things in life cannot be hurried." Carlos paused, deep in thought, before stepping into the house. As he settled into his study, the computer flickered to life, inundated with a flurry of notifications. Amidst the whirlwind of emails and phone calls, his thoughts drifted back to the garden, to the joyful laughter of his daughters, and to the comforting warmth of Sofia's gaze. Life outside carried on. Marina assisted Antonio in planting new flowers, uncovering a newfound passion she had yet to realize. Beatriz sketched in her notebook, crafting her unique interpretation of the garden. Sofia observed them, her expression a blend of happiness and wistfulness. In the heart of the afternoon, Carlos stepped out of his study, his expression a mix of fatigue and resolve. He made his way to Sofia, who was perched on the terrace. "I've been reflecting," he started, his voice heavy with feeling. Perhaps it's time for a transformation." Sofia gazed at him, a glimmer of hope lighting up her expression. "What sort of alterations?" "I'm not entirely sure," Carlos confessed, "but I realize I can't afford to let any more moments like this morning slip away. You are the center of my world, and it's time for my actions to reflect that." Sofia grasped his hand, giving it a tender squeeze. "It's an opening, Carlos, a promising opening." As the sun dipped below the horizon, the Mendez family came together once more in the garden. Carlos, much to everyone's astonishment, proposed the idea of ordering pizza and enjoying a meal outside. "Who are you and what have you done with our father?" Marina quipped, her voice laced with a sincere note of happiness. Carlos chuckled, a sound that had long been absent from the house. "Imagine if someone helped me view things through a different lens." His eyes locked onto Antonio's, who was tending to the final plants of the day. The gardener acknowledged with a knowing smile, a glimmer of understanding in his eyes. That evening, as the Mendez family savored their spontaneous dinner in the garden, enveloped by freshly planted flowers and the scent of rich soil, a shift began to unfold. It was delicate, akin to a tender shoot breaking through the soil, yet unmistakably present, the hope of a fresh start, of a familial garden that, with nurturing, could flourish once more. In the weeks that followed, a number of understated yet impactful transformations unfolded in the lives of the Mendez family. Carlos, honoring his promise, started to actively engage in the moment. While the extended hours at the office were still a reality, it became increasingly typical to find him enjoying dinner with his family or relaxing in the garden on Sunday afternoons. Yet, the journey toward reuniting with family was fraught with challenges. On a notably tense morning, Carlos found himself in the kitchen, grappling with the coffee maker as he conversed on the phone. "I'm afraid we can't wait any longer, Chang. Those reports are due today. The board of directors is pressing forward and, goodness," he shouted as the coffee splattered across the counter. Sophia, stepping in at that moment, took in the scene with a blend of curiosity and unease. "Is everything all right, my dear?" Carlos, visibly exasperated, nodded while attempting to tidy up the chaos with one hand. "Indeed, merely a minor obstacle. Chang, I'll reach out to you in 5 minutes." He ended the call and raked his fingers through his hair in frustration. "I can't fathom how you manage this daily, Sophia. I sense that I'm falling short in all aspects." Sophia arrived, lending a hand with the cleaning. "You're not failing, Carlos, you're growing. It stands apart." Just then, Marina stepped into the kitchen, her brow furrowing as she caught sight of her phone. "Hey Dad, do you have a minute to chat?" Carlos glanced at his watch, mindful of the upcoming call with Chang. "Certainly, Your Highness. What occurs?" Marina inhaled deeply, as though bracing herself for an impending confrontation. "It concerns the institution of higher learning. I understand that you've always hoped for me to pursue business studies, but I have been contemplating. I wish to explore the world of art." The ensuing silence was palpable. Carlos experienced a sensation as though the earth was shifting beneath him. Creative expression. "However, Marina, I was under the impression we had come to an understanding." "No, Dad," Marina interjected, her tone resolute yet tinged with a hint of desperation. "You consented. I never found the bravery to express what I truly desired." Carlos prepared to voice his disagreement, but the sudden ringing of his phone cut him off. Chang was returning the call. He gazed at the device, then turned his attention to his daughter, who stood poised between two worlds that appeared impossible to unite. Sophia, perceiving the unease, stepped in softly. "Carlos, why not escort Marina to the garden? Perhaps they can converse as they assist Antonio." "I will accept your call." Carlos acknowledged with a nod, appreciating his wife's timely intervention. "Thank you, my dear. Let's go, Marina." A father and his daughter ventured into the garden, where Antonio was meticulously pruning the bushes. The elderly gentleman welcomed them with a warm smile, quickly sensing the unease that lingered in the air between them. "Ah, what a pleasure it is to see you. I was just getting ready to begin the new flower bed. Are you willing to lend a hand?" Marina nodded with enthusiasm, whereas Carlos responded with a hint of uncertainty. Before long, the trio found themselves kneeling in the earth, placing small, vividly hued blooms into the soil. "Are you aware?" Antonio commenced as they toiled. "Each bloom in this garden serves a unique purpose, showcasing its distinct beauty. Some reach impressive heights and exhibit strength, while others choose to spread out and blanket the earth, yet all hold equal worth." Carlos stole a sidelong glance at Marina, grasping the analogy. Her daughter immersed herself in her work, her hands tenderly caressing the fragile plants. "Marina," Carlos finally spoke, his tone gentle. "What is the purpose of art? What draws you to that profession?" Marina halted her tasks, taken aback by the sincere curiosity in her father's tone. It's challenging to articulate. When I create with paint or pencil, I sense a freedom to convey emotions that elude verbal expression. It's as if everything falls into place, don't you think?" Carlos nodded slowly, recalling the fervor he once had for business in his younger days. "Have you considered what lies ahead? What methods will you use to sustain yourself?" "Each day," Marina confessed. "But Dad, what's the purpose of having financial stability if I'm not pursuing my passion? I would prefer to struggle for a cause I truly care about than to achieve success in something that brings me no joy." Antonio, having absorbed the conversation in silence, decided to step in. "Sir Mendez, do you notice these flowers? Some might argue they serve no purpose, yield no rewards, and are inedible. Yet, do they not enhance the world's beauty? Do they not bring a splash of joy to our lives with their vibrant hues?" Carlos pondered the gardener's words, gazing at the freshly planted flowers, and then at his daughter. In Marina, he recognized a fierce resolve and fervor that echoed his own spirit from years past. "It certainly won't be a walk in the park," he finally remarked. "The realm of creativity is fiercely competitive and can often be unforgiving." Marina beamed, her expression a delightful blend of relief and exhilaration. "I understand, Dad, but I'm ready to put in the effort, and I would appreciate your support in this." Carlos inhaled deeply, sensing that he stood at the precipice of something monumental. As she gazed at her daughter, she perceived not just the child she had nurtured, but the woman she was evolving into, and a choice crystallized within her. "All right," he replied, his voice heavy with feeling. "If this is truly your desire, I will stand by you, but there is one stipulation." "Which one?" Marina inquired, her breath caught in her throat. "Reveal your creations to me. I wish to grasp your enthusiasm and immerse myself in it." With tears glistening in her eyes, Marina embraced her father for the first time in years. "I appreciate it, Dad." "Thank you." Antonio observed the scene, a contented smile gracing his lips. Sometimes a bit of grit is all it takes to gain perspective. As the father and daughter toiled in the garden, their bond deepened with newfound clarity. Sophia observed them from the kitchen window. His heart swelled with optimism as he witnessed the embrace, sensing that perhaps, just perhaps, his family was beginning to mend. At the Mendez Technologies office, the atmosphere was anything but serene. Carlos's noticeable absence was starting to attract attention, and whispers of issues within the company were beginning to spread. The equilibrium between a fresh family dynamic and the pressures of the corporate realm was growing ever more fragile. Carlos understood that challenging choices awaited him, yet in this moment, as he placed another flower beside his daughter, he permitted himself to savor the experience, aware that he was nurturing something far more precious than any enterprise. A revitalized bond with your family. As darkness enveloped the Mendez mansion, a serene stillness settled over the residence, a tranquility that had long eluded its halls. As Carlos sat in his study, he gazed thoughtfully out the window, contemplating the events of the day. A gentle knock on the door pulled him from his reverie. "Onward," he remarked, glancing as Sophia made her entrance. "Hello," she said gently. "How have you been?" Carlos offered a weary smile. "To be honest, I'm uncertain." Elated, anxious, and filled with pride, all at once. Sophia crept up to him, wrapping her arms around him from behind. "You performed admirably today, with Marina." "Excellent." "Thank you," Carlos replied, sinking into his wife's warm embrace. "Yet, I find myself consumed by concern. What if I am mistaken? What if I'm guiding her toward a journey that may only lead to challenges?" Sophia directed his gaze to meet hers. "Carlos, our role is not to simplify our daughters' lives. It equips them to confront challenges with bravery and enthusiasm. Today marked a significant advancement on that journey." Carlos nodded, sensing the profound blend of duty and paternal affection coursing through him. "I suppose you have a point. It's simply, everything is evolving at an incredible pace, the organization, the household. At times, it seems as though I'm slipping away from my grasp." "Perhaps," Sophia murmured, "letting go of a bit of control isn't such a terrible thing. Just look at what he has brought her thus far." As the couple embraced a moment of closeness and shared understanding, outside in the garden, bathed in moonlight, Antonio toiled quietly. With skilled hands, they sowed nightflower seeds, aware that in the near future, the Mendez family would encounter challenges that would challenge their recently fortified connections. Yet, in the quiet embrace of the night, hope unfurled softly, akin to blossoms nurtured by a knowledgeable caretaker. Dawn crept into the Mendez mansion, enveloping it in an eerie calm. Carlos, breaking from his usual routine, did not dash toward the office. Instead, he found himself in the kitchen, awkwardly attempting to whip up breakfast for his family. "Father?" The unexpected sound of Beatrice's voice shattered the stillness. "What are you up to?" Carlos spun around, a hesitant grin spreading across his face, flour dusting his cheek. "Good morning, my dear. I'm currently attempting to whip up some pancakes." Beatrice walked in, taking in the chaos of the kitchen with a blend of humor and worry. "Would you like some assistance from me?" "Of course," Carlos replied, a sense of relief washing over him. "It seems I may have erred at some point." As the duo collaborated, Carlos observed with admiration how at ease Beatrice appeared in the kitchen. "You excel at this," he remarked. Beatrice shrugged her shoulders, yet a spark of pride shone in her eyes. "Antonio has been guiding me in my learning. He believes that cooking resembles nurturing a garden. One must embrace patience and affection." Carlos nodded, lost in contemplation. "It appears that Antonio possesses insight on nearly every subject, wouldn't you agree?" Just then, Sophia stepped into the kitchen, her initial look of surprise swiftly giving way to a radiant smile. Well, what do we have here?" "Dad is figuring out the art of pancake making," Beatrice said with a chuckle. Sophia drew near, planting a gentle kiss on Carlos's cheek. "It's wonderful to witness your journey of exploration, my dear." The serene family moment was abruptly shattered by the piercing sound of Carlos's phone ringing. The ambience shifted abruptly, the strain unmistakable in the surroundings. Carlos glanced at the caller ID, and a shadow crossed his features. "Apologies, I must take care of this matter." He exited the kitchen, his tone shifting to a more earnest cadence as he began to speak. "Indeed, Sang, I grasped the gravity of the matter at hand." Sophia and Beatrice shared anxious looks. "Mother?" Beatrice inquired softly. "Is everything all right with Dad's business?" Sophia attempted a smile, yet worry was unmistakably reflected in her eyes. "I have complete confidence that your father is managing everything just fine, my dear." In the garden, Antonio toiled with dedication, yet his eyes often drifted back to the house. He observed the escalating tension in Carlos, with the calls increasingly frequent and urgent. Marina approached him, her hands marked with vibrant hues of paint. "Good morning, Antonio. Are you seeking assistance?" "You are always welcome, Miss Marina," the gardener replied, a warm smile gracing his face. "I notice you've been quite engaged with your creative pursuits." Marina nodded, her expression brightening with joy. "Indeed, I'm currently engaged in a new endeavor. It is unlike anything I've experienced previously." While collaborating, Antonio caught sight of Marina's anxious gaze directed at the house. "There's something on your mind, isn't there?" Marina paused briefly before responding. "It's father. Since he committed to backing my artistic journey, he's been distinct. More engaged, indeed, yet also more anxious. I worry that my presence is causing you difficulties at your job." Antonio set aside his tools and fixed his gaze on Marina. "Hear me, dear child, your father's choices belong to him alone. You bear no burden for his challenges, just as he carries no weight for your aspirations. Each individual should nurture their own patch of earth." Marina pondered these words as the noise of a dispute from the house drew her focus. Within the confines of Carlos's study, the atmosphere was thick with tension. "I can't believe you're actually thinking about this, Carlos," Sophia's voice quivered with a mix of anger and fear. "Divest the business? All that you've strived for?" Carlos, looking wan and weary, struggled to keep his composure. "Sophia, we must proceed as there are no alternatives. Ever since I began cutting back on my hours, everything seems to be spiraling downward. Investors are feeling uneasy. The market is experiencing a downturn. What will happen to our family? Regarding the girls? Sophia inquired, her eyes welling up with tears. It's because of them that I'm contemplating this, Carlos declared, his voice trembling. I refuse to return to the role of the absent father and the distant husband, yet I find it hard to comprehend how all that I have built could unravel. The stillness that ensued was overwhelming. Sophia walked over to Carlos and gently took his hands in hers. I apologize, he murmured gently. I appreciate your efforts, but surely there must be an alternative for Carlos. Just as Carlos was about to reply, a knock on the door broke the moment. Marina stood there, her expression a blend of trepidation and resolve. Dad, Mom, he announced as he stepped into the room. I listened to them. I don't want to be the cause of your company's downfall, Dad. Perhaps it's time to set aside my artistic pursuits and focus on business instead. Carlos experienced a gut-wrenching sensation, as though he had taken a hard blow to the abdomen. Witnessing his daughter ready to sacrifice her aspirations for him felt like a revelation. No, Marina, his voice declared, steady yet laced with feeling. I refuse to let you abandon your aspirations. Together, we will discover a resolution, united as one family. In that instant, Beatrice burst through the door, her eyes sparkling with enthusiasm. Father, Mother. This is a must-see. Antonio has achieved something remarkable in the garden. The Mendez family trailed behind Beatrice, their breaths catching at the breathtaking view before them. The garden, having undergone weeks of meticulous transformation, now stood as a vibrant spectacle of color and life. A vibrant array of flowers, each unique in hue and form, wove together a stunning natural tapestry, while at the heart of it all, a tranquil pond mirrored the expanse of the sky above. Antonio stood by the pond, a tranquil smile gracing his features. Mr. Mendez, he remarked. In the midst of turmoil, we often overlook the splendor that surrounds us. This garden resembles the essence of your family and your organization. It requires unwavering attention, enduring patience, and, most importantly, a deep affection. Yet, as time passes, it unfolds in ways we could never have envisioned. Carlos surveyed his surroundings, taking in the sight of his family in the garden, and sensed a shift within himself. A concept started to take shape in his thoughts, one that might just resolve all his dilemmas. Perhaps, he said thoughtfully, it's time for Mendez Technologies to embark on a new path, one that intertwines commerce with something deeper, something significant. Sophia regarded him with curiosity. What occupies your mind, Carlos? Carlos replied with an expanding grin. I believe it's the right moment for our organization to begin supporting art and community initiatives. Marina, would you be interested in collaborating with me to shape this new division? Marina's eyes sparkled with excitement. You really mean that, Dad? Carlos nodded, a sense of buoyancy washing over him, as if years of weight had been lifted. Absolutely earnest. Mendez Technologies should strive to not only achieve financial success but also to foster beauty and significance in the world. As the Mendez family embraced, their laughter mingling with tears, Antonio observed from afar, a contented smile gracing his lips. He understood that the journey ahead would be challenging, yet much like the garden he had nurtured, this family now possessed deep roots to endure any tempest. The sun illuminated the revamped garden, representing a fresh start for the Mendez family and the hopeful vision of a future where aspirations and enterprise could thrive together in unity. The ensuing months unfolded as a tempest of transformations for the Mendez family. The mansion, previously an emblem of aloof achievement, had evolved into a bustling center of imaginative endeavors and familial teamwork. On a bright afternoon, Carlos found himself in the garden, his business suit standing out against the vibrant natural backdrop. He grasped a tablet, poring over the most recent reports from the newly established division of Mendez Technologies focused on art and community initiatives. Father? Marina's voice pulled him from his reverie. Could you spare a moment? Carlos glanced upward, a smile spreading across his face as he spotted his eldest daughter. Of course, dear, what's happening? Marina settled beside him, her fingers marked with vibrant hues of paint. I have something to share with you. He pulled out his phone and shared with Carlos a collection of vibrant mural images. This is the endeavor I have been dedicated to for the foundation. I'd love to hear your thoughts. Carlos gazed at the images, truly captivated. The murals burst forth with vibrant hues and vitality, illustrating moments from the local community intertwined with aspects of technology and nature. Marina, this is extraordinary. You've truly encapsulated the core of our aspirations. Marina beamed, a sparkle of pride illuminating her gaze. Thank you, Dad. Your words hold significant value for me. In that instant, Beatriz burst from the house, brandishing a sheet of paper in her grasp. Hey Dad, Marina, check this out. Carlos accepted the paper from Beatriz, his eyes growing wide with astonishment as he scanned its contents. A competition for young culinary talents. Beatriz, this is truly delightful. Beatriz was filled with excitement. Antonio believes he ought to take part. He believes my seasoning is a treasure meant to be shared with others. Carlos gazed at his daughters, a wave of pride and affection washing over him. I am incredibly proud of both of you. They are chasing their dreams with unwavering resolve. His voice faded as he caught sight of Sofia observing them from the terrace. A face devoid of any discernible emotion. He expressed his regrets to his daughters before turning to his wife. Greetings. He murmured gently. Everything all right? Sofia smiled, yet a flicker of concern lingered in her gaze. Carlos, I just got off the phone with Shang. The situation in the Shanghai office is quite challenging. They are urging you to head there at your earliest convenience. Carlos experienced a sudden shock, as though icy water had been splashed over him. The company's new direction, though exhilarating, has certainly faced its share of obstacles. A number of investors and executives expressed doubt regarding the integration of technology and art, with the Shanghai office showing a notable reluctance to embrace change. How long will it be? He inquired, trepidation evident in his voice. At least a month, Sofia replied, her voice tight with tension. Perhaps even more. Carlos shut his eyes, burdened by the gravity of the choice before him. On one side, the enterprise he had tirelessly crafted required his focus. Conversely, the idea of departing from his family at a moment when they were finally mending their bonds was simply intolerable. I refuse to go, his voice declared with conviction. We shall seek an alternative solution. I refuse to put my family on the line once more. Sofia gazed at him in astonishment. Carlos, I understand the significance the company holds for you. There's no need for you to. Carlos interjected, yes, I must. I have gained valuable insight. The organization holds significance, yet your value surpasses it. In that instant, Antonio drew near, his demeanor steady as ever. I apologize for the interruption, but I found myself drawn to your conversation. Mr. Mendez, may I share a suggestion with you? Carlos nodded, appreciative of the sage gardener's timely assistance. Sometimes, Antonio began, to cultivate a robust tree, it is necessary to trim certain branches. However, that does not imply forsaking it. It signifies nurturing it uniquely, having faith that its foundations are robust enough to support it even when we are not present. Carlos pondered Antonio's words, glancing at Sofia and then toward the garden where his daughters were engaged in lively conversation. Indeed, Antonio, he finally acknowledged. Sofia, I'm heading to Shanghai. Sofia began to voice her objections, but Carlos softly intervened. However, it won't be for a month, I'm planning to go for just 2 weeks, nothing longer, and I would like you to join me. The girls are welcome to stay with my parents. It will resemble a second honeymoon, albeit with some effort required. Sofia's eyes sparkled with excitement at the thought. Is this for real? Carlos nodded, a newfound assurance radiating from his choice. Indeed, we must take a moment to reflect on the reasons that brought us together on this journey. As the couple embraced, Antonio wore a satisfied smile. He slipped away quietly, making his way toward Marina and Beatriz. "Ladies," he began, drawing their focus, "I believe it's time for you to discover a bit more about nurturing this garden. Ultimately, your parents will have faith in your ability to nurture it while they are gone." The girls shared glances filled with astonishment and thrill. The thought of embracing that responsibility filled me with a mix of fear and exhilaration. During the family dinner that evening, Carlos and Sofia shared their exciting plans. Marina and Beatriz responded with unexpected maturity and excitement. "That's reasonable," Marina remarked. "There has been an intense focus on us recently. This time together is truly yours to cherish." Beatriz nodded, her smile playful and full of mischief. "Furthermore, Antonio will reveal to us all the hidden wonders of the garden. Upon their return, this place will be unrecognizable to them." Carlos surveyed the beaming faces of his family, a profound sense of gratitude swelling within him. They had traveled a significant distance from those times of estrangement and bitterness. Now they confronted obstacles side by side, as one cohesive entity. As the lively discussion unfolded around the table, Carlos found his thoughts drifting to the upcoming trip that lay ahead of them. Shanghai presented a formidable challenge, yet for the first time in ages, he sensed a readiness within himself to confront it. With Sofia beside him, and the affection of his daughters grounding him, he felt equipped to face any tempest that approached. The garden, framed by the dining room window, shimmered in the soft glow of the evening light. The flowers they had nurtured together, witnessing their growth day by day, stood as a vibrant testament to their evolution as a family. And Carlos understood, with steadfast conviction, that akin to those blossoms, his family would persist in thriving, regardless of the distance or the obstacles they encountered. The atmosphere at Shanghai International Airport was alive with energy as Carlos and Sofia Mendez disembarked from the plane. Even after the lengthy journey, they appeared invigorated, their expressions a blend of excitement and anxiety. "Are you prepared?" Sofia inquired, tenderly clasping her husband's hand. Carlos inclined his head, a constrained smile playing at the corners of his mouth. "As long as you stand with me." As they navigated through passport control and retrieved their luggage, Carlos found his thoughts drifting to his daughters and the home they had departed from. Will Marina and Beatriz be all right? Will Antonio maintain the garden's beauty as he always has? A text message broke through his contemplation. A photograph captured Marina and Beatriz, their smiles radiant, enveloped by the vibrant blooms of the garden. The note read, "All is well, Dad. Concentrate on your purpose. Your presence is cherished." Carlos revealed the message to Sofia, experiencing a sense of relief wash over him. "Our girls have blossomed beautifully," he whispered. Sofia nodded, her eyes gleaming with pride, and to consider that just a few months prior, they hardly exchanged words with you. The journey to the hotel unfolded like a vibrant tapestry of dazzling neon lights and majestic skyscrapers reaching for the sky. Shanghai, embodying a blend of tradition and modernity, appeared to be the ideal backdrop for the fresh vision that Carlos aimed to implement at Mendez Technologies. The following morning, as they got ready for the inaugural meeting in the Shanghai office, Sofia observed the tightness in Carlos' shoulders. "Greetings," he murmured gently, straightening his tie. "Keep in mind the purpose of our presence. It's not just about the company, it's about our family and the future we aspire to create together." Carlos inhaled deeply, appreciating the unwavering support of his wife. "You are correct. It's time to demonstrate that creativity and innovation can harmoniously exist and flourish." The Shanghai office of Mendez Technologies spanned multiple floors within a sleek, contemporary skyscraper. As Carlos and Sofia stepped inside, they were met with inquisitive glances and a flurry of hushed conversations. It was evident that Sofia's arrival caught them off guard. Zhang, the director of the Shanghai office, approached with a tense smile. "Sir. Welcome, Mendez. We were unaware that his wife would be accompanying us today." Carlos, picking up on the subtle disapproval, replied with conviction. "Sophia plays a crucial role in this new direction of the company, Zhang. Your insights will greatly enhance our conversations." The subsequent meeting was charged with tension. Local executives showcased various charts and figures illustrating a decline in both productivity and morale following the announcement of the new arts initiative. "With all due respect, Mr. Mendez," one of the executives remarked, "our clients anticipate innovative technological solutions, not community art initiatives." Carlos absorbed every word, recalling Antonio's teachings on the importance of timing in decision-making. Once all had shared their thoughts, he rose to his feet. "I see where you're coming from," he started. "For years, I have led this company with a steadfast commitment to technology and profits, yet the world is evolving, and we must adapt alongside it." I took a moment to gaze at everyone present in the room. Technology devoid of essence feels frigid, lacking in intention. Through the fusion of creativity and community initiatives in our endeavors, we transcend mere product creation, we cultivate significance and forge profound connections with individuals. Sophia, feeling the moment was ripe, stepped in. "Allow me to present something to you." He displayed on the screen visuals of Marina's murals alongside the community initiatives they had launched. This transcends mere art. It embodies technology driven by intention, innovation infused with passion. As Sophia and Carlos unveiled their vision, the ambience in the room started to shift. What began as initial hostility transformed into curiosity, which eventually blossomed into enthusiasm. Zhang, once among the most doubtful, was the first to voice his thoughts. "I have to confess, Mr. Mendez, when I initially learned of this new address, I found it quite absurd. But now, I truly recognize the possibilities ahead. Envision the remarkable progress in augmented reality that could unfold through partnerships with local creatives." The subsequent hours unfolded in a flurry of inspiration and animated conversations. Carlos and Sophia collaborated seamlessly, enhancing one another's concepts and addressing inquiries with ease. By the time they arrived back at their hotel, fatigue washed over them, yet a sense of joy lingered in the air. "We did it," Sophia exclaimed, collapsing onto the bed. "We truly accomplished it." Carlos settled beside her, gently clasping her hand. "No, my dear, we accomplished it as a team. Your support made this possible for me." That evening, as they dined on the hotel terrace with a view of the sparkling city, Carlos received yet another photo of his daughters. This time, it depicted Beatriz in the kitchen with her grandparents, while Marina was busy creating a new mural in the garden. "Look," he said, presenting the photo to Sophia. "It appears that each of us is thriving in our unique manner." Sophia beamed, lifting her glass high. "For our loved ones, for our organization, and for the future we are creating together." As they raised their glasses, Carlos experienced a profound tranquility and a clear sense of direction. They encountered difficulties, navigated hurdles, and came out more resilient. He understood that the journey ahead would not be simple, yet he was prepared to confront it, drawing strength and motivation from his family. The journey to Shanghai, initially intended for business, transformed into a profound reminder of what truly holds significance. As the city shimmered in the evening light, Carlos and Sophia set their sights on crafting the next chapter of their family and business legacy, one that held the promise of greater significance and brilliance than ever before. Coming back home after 2 weeks in Shanghai stirred a tempest of feelings for Carlos and Sophia. As the taxi drew near the Mendez mansion, a blend of excitement and anxiety washed over them. "Do you believe it will have transformed significantly?" Sophia inquired, gently clasping Carlos's hand. Carlos smiled, reminiscing about the photos and messages that had come from the girls while he was away. "Given their nature, we can expect to be taken aback." As the taxi came to a halt before the house, they both inhaled sharply. The front garden, once a stunning display under Antonio's meticulous attention, now appeared to have blossomed into a vibrant entity of its own. Brightly colored flowers lined the paths, while a small pond with water lilies bubbled cheerfully at the entrance. Just as they were about to exit the car, the front door swung open with a rush, and Marina and Beatriz dashed out, closely trailed by their grandparents, Mendez and Antonio. "Mother! Father!" the girls exclaimed together, leaping into the embrace of their parents. Carlos embraced his daughters with a firm grip, a knot tightening in his throat. "How we long for them," he whispered, pressing his lips to their foreheads. Sofia, her eyes glistening with tears, stepped into the embrace of her family. "The house is absolutely stunning, ladies. Their work has been truly exceptional." Beatriz, radiating joy, grasped her mother's hand. "Just wait until you see what's inside, Mom. Prepare for an abundance of delightful surprises awaiting you." Marina nodded, her enthusiasm palpable. "Just wait until you experience BEA's latest culinary creation. He has been honing his skills daily for the cooking contest." Upon stepping into the house, Carlos immediately sensed a shift in the ambience. The mansion, once perceived as frigid and remote, now exuded a sense of warmth and vitality. New paintings, unmistakably crafted by Marina, graced the walls, infusing the spaces with vibrant color and deep emotion. A delightful scent wafted through the kitchen, welcoming them warmly. Beatriz, exuding the assurance of a seasoned culinary artist, was adding the final details to an intricate creation. "This is my take on a classic Chinese dish," he said, as he dished out servings for all. "I believed it would be fitting to commemorate your return from Shanghai." Carlos sampled the dish, his eyes expanding in astonishment and pleasure. "Beatriz, this is remarkable. You possess a remarkable talent, my dear." The family dinner that ensued was a delightful spread, rich not just in tastes, but also in tales and joy. The girls recounted delightful tales from their experiences with their grandparents, while Carlos and Sofia shared captivating stories of their escapades in Shanghai. After dinner, Marina led them to the studio that Carlos had gifted her for her artistic endeavors. The walls were adorned with sketches and unfinished paintings, yet the focal point of the room was undeniably a large canvas positioned at its heart. "This is my last project for the art school application," Marina explained, a hint of anxiety in her voice. "I aim to document our family's legacy." The artwork showcased a remarkable blend of styles, seamlessly intertwining realistic features with abstract nuances. At the heart of it all stood the Mendez family, encircled by emblems that illustrated their journeys, challenges, and victories. Antonio's garden wove together elements of technology, crafting a striking visual story. Carlos stood in awe, utterly captivated by the profound emotion and intricate details portrayed on the canvas. Sofia embraced her eldest daughter, tears glistening in her eyes. "Marina, it's truly remarkable," Carlos finally managed to say. "You have beautifully encapsulated our spirit." As the family appreciated Marina's talent, Antonio quietly made his way to Carlos. "Mr. Mendez," the gardener said with a tranquil smile, "it appears that the garden we nurtured has thrived beyond our hopes." Carlos nodded, overwhelmed with gratitude for the man who had sparked the idea of tea. "Antonio, I'm at a loss for words to express my gratitude. Your insight, your calmness. Your presence has truly enriched this family." Antonio modestly shook his head. "I have just sown some seeds, Mr. Mendez. You have tended to them and given them the space to flourish. This transformation is the result of his and his family's efforts." As the night deepened and the girls drifted into slumber, the house enveloped in tranquility, Carlos and Sofia found themselves in the backyard, beneath a canopy of stars. "Isn't it astonishing how drastically everything has transformed?" Sofia inquired, resting against her husband's chest. Carlos inhaled deeply, taking in the fragrance of the nocturnal blooms. "At times, it feels as though it's all a fantasy. A few months back, I felt utterly adrift, completely out of touch. At last, I sense that I am truly embracing the existence I was destined for. Sophia glanced up, meeting his gaze directly. What about the company? Do you believe this new direction will be successful? Carlos smiled, his eyes reflecting a blend of resolve and optimism. It may not be simple, yet I firmly believe it is the correct course to take. Shanghai marked the start of an incredible journey. Envision the profound influence we can create by merging innovation with creativity and a commitment to social good. I'm so proud of you, Carlos, Sophia whispered, pressing her lips gently against his, of us, of our family. In that tender moment beneath the stars, enveloped by the garden that represented their renewal, Carlos was enveloped in a tranquility he hadn't known in years. The obstacles ahead would be numerous, both within the family and in the realm of business, yet they were now confident that united, they could conquer any challenge that came their way. The garden, once overlooked and abandoned, now flourished with vibrancy and charm, mirroring the transformation of the Mendez family. As darkness wrapped around them, Carlos realized they had sown the beginnings of a vibrant and meaningful future, one where success would be gauged not just by figures, but by the positive influence they could exert on the world. The ensuing months unfolded in a flurry of events for the Mendez family. The company's innovative approach, blending technology with artistic endeavors and community initiatives, was starting to yield results that surpassed all expectations. On a bright, sunny morning, Carlos sat in his study, poring over the latest reports when Sophia walked in, clutching a tablet. "Carlos, you must witness this," his voice conveyed a blend of emotion and pride. On the screen, a report from a renowned business publication titled, Mendez Technologies, Revolutionizing Corporate Social Responsibility Through Art and Innovation. Carlos read the article, a smile spreading across his face with every paragraph. The report lauded the company's forward-thinking approach, emphasizing how the fusion of creative and community initiatives had not only enhanced the company's reputation but also resulted in unforeseen technological breakthroughs. "Looks like our wild ideas are finally coming together," Carlos chuckled, embracing Sophia. "I always knew you would," she said, pressing her lips gently against his. An enthusiastic shout erupted from the garden, breaking their moment. They ventured out to explore and discovered Beatrice leaping with delight, clutching a letter in her hand. "I emerged victorious. I emerged victorious in the youth cooking contest," he exclaimed, rushing toward his parents. Carlos lifted her into the air, twirling joyfully with her in his embrace. "That's my girl. We are incredibly proud of you, my dear." Sophia, peering over Beatrice's shoulder at the letter, exclaimed, "Look, the prize includes a summer course at a cooking school in Paris. What an incredible opportunity." The family celebration was momentarily disrupted by Marina's arrival, as she dashed from the house, an envelope clutched in her hand. "You won't believe this," he exclaimed, his voice filled with excitement. "I got accepted into art school. SAS has given me a full scholarship." The garden resonated with laughter and embraces. Carlos, cradling his two daughters, was swept away by a surge of emotion that nearly engulfed him. "My girls," he whispered, his voice trembling with pride, "are realizing their dreams." Antonio, having toiled quietly in a secluded part of the garden, came forward with a calm smile. "Mr. Mendez," he said, his voice rich with experience, "do you recall the time we sowed these seeds?" Numerous individuals paused, contemplating whether the landscape was excessively barren. But behold, a garden in its splendid glory. Carlos nodded, grasping the richness of the metaphor. "Thank you, Antonio, for all that you have done. Your insight has nourished this garden like much-needed rain." That evening, the Mendez family held a special dinner in celebration. The grandparents were invited, and the garden sparkled with colorful lights. Beatrice, celebrating her recent triumph, organized a banquet that astonished all. As dinner unfolded, Carlos rose, glass raised, to deliver a toast. "Not long ago," his voice thick with emotion began, "I was adrift. He thought success was defined solely by figures and professional milestones. However, with the support of my family and the insights of an exceptional gardener, I have come to understand that genuine richness lies in moments like these. He gazed at each family member before proceeding. Marina, your creations enhance our space and ignite the imagination of countless young dreamers. Beatrice, your culinary passion serves as a daily reminder that love is best experienced through taste. Sophia, my dear, your unwavering support and vision are the foundation that upholds both our family and our business. He turned to Antonio, who was observing from the corner. And Antonio, I can never express my gratitude enough for sowing the seeds of change in our lives. Lifting his glass, Carlos finished, to our family, to the dreams realized, and to those yet to be achieved. Let us hold dear the notion that true success is cultivated with love and generously shared. As the toasts echoed, the garden appeared to awaken, the flowers glowing with an extraordinary brilliance beneath the vibrant lights. It felt as though nature was joining in the celebration, reveling in the moment alongside them. Later that night, after the guests had departed and the girls were peacefully asleep, Carlos and Sofia strolled through the garden, fingers intertwined. You know. Carlos paused beside the rose bush that Marina had nurtured back to life months earlier. I believe I finally grasp what Antonio aimed to impart to us from the start. What exactly is that? Sofia inquired, leaning her head against her husband's shoulder. That life, much like this garden, requires ongoing attention, patience, and affection. Yet, if you nurture it, it flourishes in ways you could never have envisioned. Sofia smiled, kissing Carlos gently. It's remarkable to reflect on how it all began with a gardener and a forgotten garden. As the couple gazed at their home, now brimming with vitality and affection, they realized they had discovered the true essence of success. It transcended mere personal or professional milestones, it was about forging a legacy steeped in love, creativity, and intention. The garden, which had once stood as a testament to neglect, now embodied the Mendez family's metamorphosis. Every flower, every plant, narrated the tale of its evolution, from disconnection to unity, from unbridled ambition to profound purpose. As the night unfolded, Carlos and Sofia lingered in the garden, filled with gratitude for their journey and anticipation for the future ahead. Together, as a family, they felt empowered to face any challenge and cultivate beauty. The morning sun illuminated the garden of the Mendez mansion, its rays unveiling a vibrant tapestry of color and life reminiscent of a fairy tale. This marked the grand opening of the Mendez Foundation for Art and Technology, a venture born from Carlos's personal transformation, now poised to impact lives across the community. Carlos straightened his tie in front of the mirror, a blend of nerves and excitement coursing through him. Sofia came up from behind, resting her hands on his shoulders. Are you ready for this? He asked gently, his gaze locking with the reflection. Carlos nodded, gently taking one of Sofia's hands and placing a kiss upon it. I owe it all to you and the girls. Without your support, none of this would have come to fruition. Just then, Marina stepped into the room, clad in a sophisticated suit of her own creation. Dad, Mom, the guests are beginning to arrive, and you won't believe who just walked in. Intrigued, Carlos and Sofia trailed their eldest sister out to the garden. Amidst a flurry of reporters and flashing cameras stood Zhang, the once skeptical director of the Shanghai office, beaming as he welcomed everyone. Carlos, my friend. Zhang called out upon spotting the Mendez patriarch. What an incredible transformation. When you shared your vision in Shanghai, I could never have envisioned it unfolding like this. Carlos embraced his colleague, a true sense of joy lighting up his face. Zhang, what a delightful surprise to see you here. Did you come solely for the inauguration? Zhang shook his head, his grin growing even broader. Not just that. I am excited to share that the Shanghai office aims to be the pioneer in implementing the Mendez Foundation model in Asia. We are poised to merge technology and art on a grand scale. This announcement was met with enthusiastic applause and expressions of delight. As Carlos and Jean delved into their discussion, Beatriz entered the scene, gracefully balancing a tray of exquisite appetizers she had crafted. "These are amazing," remarked a journalist, relishing one of the sandwiches. "Who is the chef?" Beatriz, a hint of color rising to her cheeks, shyly raised her hand. "I created them. It's a blend of tastes influenced by my recent studies in Paris." The reporter was captivated and started inquiring about his love for culinary arts and his aspirations moving forward. Beatriz, radiating a newfound confidence that seemed unimaginable just months prior, replied with both eloquence and enthusiasm. At the same time, Marina was leading a group of guests through an art exhibition she had meticulously curated for the occasion. The pieces, crafted by emerging local artists, featured cutting-edge technological elements, beautifully embodying the Foundation's mission. "This piece," Marina explained, gesturing toward an interactive sculpture, utilizes motion sensors and LED lights to react to the viewer's presence. It exemplifies the harmonious blend of art and technology, crafting distinctive experiences. The guests were enthralled not just by the artworks, but by the enthusiasm and expertise that Marina showcased. Amidst the lively discussions of future collaborations and exhibitions among gallery owners, Carlos sought out Antonio. She discovered him in a serene corner of the garden, tending to some freshly planted flowers with care. "Antonio," Carlos called as he approached, "you ought to be celebrating with us. None of this would have been achievable without you." The gardener smiled, his wrinkled face radiating wisdom and kindness. "Mr. Mendez, my role here has reached its conclusion. I sowed the seeds, yet it was you who nurtured them to flourish. This celebration belongs to you." Carlos experienced a tightness in his throat. "Antonio, you are now a member of this family. Please come and join us." Antonio nodded, setting down the watering can. "Very well, but first, allow me to show you something." He led Carlos to a quiet corner of the garden, where a small tree, just a sapling, stood safeguarded by a fence. "Do you see this tree, Mr. Mendez? I planted it the day I arrived. It was merely a seed then, much like his family and his aspirations. Now observe it, robust and flourishing with each passing day. This tree represents the essence of your journey." Carlos, filled with excitement, embraced the old man. "Thank you, Antonio, for everything." As they made their way back to the celebration, Sofia stood at the podium, poised to deliver the keynote address. Carlos approached her, taking her hand. "Welcome everyone," Sofia began, her voice resonating with clarity and enthusiasm. "Today marks not just the launch of a foundation, but the dawn of a new chapter. A year ago, we were a fragmented family and a business driven only by profit. Now, we stand together, united by a higher purpose." Carlos continued. "The Mendez Foundation for Art and Technology emerged from the conviction that true innovation flourishes at the intersection of artistic creativity and technological potential. Our mission is to inspire, educate, and empower the next generation of creators and thinkers." As they spoke, visuals of the Foundation's initiatives illuminated the backdrop. Interactive murals in underprivileged areas, arts and technology education programs for young people, and partnerships with local artists to devise creative solutions to community challenges. At the end of the address, the whole Mendez family gathered on stage, including Antonio for the ceremonial ribbon cutting. As the cameras rolled, Carlos surveyed his surroundings, taking in Sofia, his unwavering support, Marina, whose artistic fervor was making a difference, Beatriz, whose culinary skills had the power to bring people together, and Antonio, the insightful gardener whose wisdom had reshaped their lives. In that instant, enveloped by his loved ones and witnessing his dream come to fruition, Carlos realized they had discovered genuine success. It wasn't quantified by financial metrics or corporate accolades, but by the meaningful change they could create in the world and the deep bond that connected them all. As the applause resonated through the air and the sun bathed the garden in its golden glow, the Mendez family came together, united in their resolve to confront whatever challenges lay ahead. They understood that, much like the vibrant flowers surrounding them, they would continue to evolve, adapt, and flourish side by side. Thus, what began as a narrative of a remote millionaire and a modest nanny blossomed into a rich tapestry of redemption, familial bonds, and the profound impact of striving for a higher purpose. The Mendez mansion, once characterized by its coldness, now stood as a symbol of hope and creativity, a living testament that with love, patience, and a touch of nurturing, any life can flourish into something truly beautiful and significant.